From viral fights to jabs at colleagues, there's a lot that contributes to this fear. While his reputation has largely been positive, those familiar with the hip-hop world know that there's a certain caution that surrounds interactions with P Diddy. Ever wondered why? Well, you're in for a treat, because in this video, we're getting into why the industry is really scared of P Diddy. So, let's get right into it, starting with how it all began. P Diddy didn't grow up in the lap of luxury or with a silver spoon. He was brought up by his fam, hustling to make ends meet. Surprisingly, Diddy cruised through college without getting caught up in any shady stuff. But then, things changed. Some of his buddies were stacking up serious cash. After all, the drug market gets you money. That's when he decided to dive into the drug game to make some dough. His time at Howard University in D.C. was the kickoff to this wild chapter in his life. But a major turning point hit hard when he had a run-in with the law that rattled him to his core. Reflecting on the incident, Puff remembered being at a strip joint in Maryland when a sudden jump-out warning filled the air, signaling undercover cops were around. The chaos that followed, with helicopters and home searches, pushed him into a heart-to-heart with God, and that's when he swore to stay out of any more trouble. At that point, he diverged towards the music scene, a move that eventually blasted him into becoming one of the biggest names in the business. Turns out, this decision was one of his smartest decisions ever. Soon, he was at the pinnacle of the industry, with everyone wanting to be connected to him. Being part of Diddy's crew was like holding the ultimate ticket. After all, his swagger and power were undeniable. But why would anyone be scared of a former street hustler who narrowly dodged the law? The answer is simple. It wasn't just his tough looks that made people nervous. In fact, it was his sharp and cunning brain working behind the scenes, calling the shots and planning every move with surgical accuracy. That's the persona Diddy had evolved into, a commanding presence that nobody dared to mess with. Throughout the years, P. Diddy has found himself entangled in several notable brawls and blow-ups, and one of the most famous ones has been his feud with Tupac. In the hip-hop world, P. Diddy and Tupac are synonymous with legendary status, always at the forefront of discussions about the greatest rappers ever. When their incredible rhymes aren't the focus, talks often veer into the infamous feud between these two rap icons. After Tupac's tragic shooting at Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan, he pointed fingers at Biggie, Diddy, and Andre Harrell, accusing them of being involved in the violent incident. In response to Tupac's allegations, Biggie dropped the controversial track Who Shot Ya?, which was part of the Big Papa single. This move only added fuel to the fire of their escalating conflict. This feud created its place in hip-hop history as one of the most sensationalized and endlessly discussed events within the culture. While many are aware of the animosity between Biggie and Tupac, some fail to recognize the puppet masters orchestrating the tumultuous saga. Yes, we're talking about Suge Knight. The hyped-up East Coast versus West Coast rivalry got a massive boost from the actions of two heavyweights, Suge Knight and Sean Combs, aka Diddy. Hailing from rival record labels, Knight and Diddy were never on good terms. The artists often traded insults, dissing each other back and forth in a war of words. In a move to strike back at Diddy and show his power in the industry, Knight played a strategic card by bailing Tupac out of jail with a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. This move led Tupac to sign with Suge Knight's Death Row Records. This alliance immediately pushed both Diddy and Knight to ramp up their roles in the ongoing East Coast-West Coast feud, making it a bigger deal in the world of hip-hop. As of now, both Drake and Diddy have established themselves as major players in the music industry. Despite their influential positions, this doesn't necessarily imply a cordial relationship between the two. In 2014, a notable blow-up took place between Puff and Drake during DJ Khaled's birthday celebration at a Miami, Florida nightclub. The conflict escalated into a physical brawl, involving not only the main figures but also their crews. The reason behind the fight is still a bit hazy, with different stories circulating. Some say it was about money disagreements and Drake supposedly using Diddy's music without permission. Others claim it was sparked by Drake making a disrespectful comment about Puff's partner at the time. Witnesses recall that around 4 a.m, Diddy's associates approached Drake, requesting his presence outside for a conversation with Diddy. Unperturbed, Drake complied and stepped outside with his own entourage in tow. Shortly after, a heated argument ensued between the two parties, further intensifying the animosity between the two influential figures. Things heated up fast, turning the verbal argument into a full-on physical fight, as often happens after a night of partying hard and alcohol flowing. While no recorded footage of the incident exists, reliable sources affirm the occurrence of the altercation, with some attesting to Diddy's apparent dominance in the scuffle. Witnesses claim to have observed Puff landing multiple punches on Drake's face, resulting in Drake eventually requiring medical attention and hospitalization. Speculation even emerged, suggesting that Drake may have sustained a dislocated shoulder during the altercation, although this claim remains unverified. Above all, it's absolutely crucial to recognize the deep and far-reaching effects of losing Biggie and Tupac, a loss that echoed through the hip-hop world and beyond, shaping the cultural scene in an unforgettable way. And lastly, one rumor that has made him one of the most feared people in the rapping world is that he's been accused of killing Tupac. But then again, all of this is based mostly on just a theory, despite its widespread circulation since the incident took place. While many have come to accept it as fact, it's important to approach such claims with a critical lens, acknowledging the complexity of the circumstances and the nuances that may surround these historical events. While it's widely discredited that Puff himself physically carried out the shooting, the belief persists that he may have orchestrated and financed the operation. Much of the information pertaining to this theory originates from various rumors, but some elements have reportedly been confirmed by law enforcement officials themselves. In 2006, the LAPD encountered legal action regarding the supposed concealment of Biggie Smalls' murder, sparking a reopening of the case. Leading the investigation was LAPD detective Greg Kading. Similar to many others, Kading holds the belief that the shootings of both Biggie and Tupac were linked. During his inquiries into Biggie's demise, Kading arrived at the conclusion that P Diddy had placed a substantial $1 million bounty on the heads of Tupac and Suge. Kading references an individual named Keffe D, who purportedly played a role in carrying out the hit. The only piece of testimony that implicates Diddy from Keffe D is the claim that he received a call from Diddy shortly after Tupac's passing. Allegedly, during the conversation, Diddy inquired, "Was that us?" insinuating a query about the involvement of their associates in Tupac's tragic demise. Despite these claims, it's important to approach such allegations with caution, considering the complexity and sensitivity of the subject matter. As mentioned earlier, despite widespread beliefs implicating Diddy and Tupac Shakur's untimely demise, no concrete evidence has emerged to substantiate these claims, and Diddy has never faced formal charges. It's often said that the most intimidating figures are those who have experienced life on the streets. Yet, what many fail to recognize is the presence of a strategic mastermind behind such intimidating figures, issuing calculated directives based on the wisdom accumulated during their ascent to the pinnacle of their respective industries. P. Diddy stands as a prime example of such a figure, having carved out an illustrious career and cemented his influence within the music industry. Those lucky enough to work with him know it's a privilege to collaborate with such a giant in the field. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. That's all for today.